Push an E. Alright. Now, as part of our introduction to Division, I've got a brand new character here so that it's a fresh feeling and no one needs to worry about being able to do things that you can't do from the get-go. So we are currently leaving the White House for the first time, going into the open world where everyone is violent. At the moment, because we don't own any control of the place, everything is in major disarray and there are lots of enemies out in the area. Everyone is very alert to. So as you can see here, we have one green person here. That is someone who is trying to protect themselves that is of a friendly nature. And everyone else that is shooting at them is an interaction that we have interrupted. Running out of cover is not a good idea a lot of the time, but you can use the cover running system to move from space to face to take advantage of people trying to use the environment to flank you. This is a game where you want to be constantly trying to move. The enemies will constantly be trying to flank and move, and so will your NPC friends that are trying to escape and make their way around. Things to also take note is there are loot everywhere. You can literally pick up a lot of loot just by walking from one side of the road. Any enemies that drop items will have this tall pillar of light that will appear with their different color variations depending on what they are. Being careful when you are inside of the menu, as the world does not stop just because you are not looking at it anymore. So as we're doing here, I could still be attacked and I could still die. So you need to make sure that you only ever come into the menu when you are behind cover, have a moment not being attacked, as you could very quickly get overwhelmed.
You have joined a group. You have been promoted to group leader.
So this weapon here, level 2, we'll take that. MP5. So yeah, and you're constantly swapping weapons out that will like a weapon that you got while you're leveling up will become obsolete every level or two. Even sometimes more than once inside the same area of fighting. So running through and traversing the world, you'll come up across points like this where it's trying to tell you about what's coming up and who's in control of that. If you have groups and stuff open, you can a lot of the time come up to certain areas and start matchmaking to bring people into your world.
Electronic device detected.
As well as if you go on the friends list, you can list friends and join them through the area by clicking on them and hitting join group. This friend isn't actually online right now, so or you can invite them to group as well. Hitting call for backup will set yourself to open matchmaking where people will come and go, as long as your group privacy is
device detected.
On set to open to all. Device like this, these are just collectibles that give you storyline.
Now?
Hold up. They're still too spread out.
This is gonna be good.
Not if they notice us first. Keep your goddamn head down.
Look at those idiots. They have no idea what's coming.
That's the fucking idea. Get your fucking head down.
What are we waiting for? They're not even armed. This is gonna be a fucking piñata party.
If you're expecting candy, you're in for some disappointment.
The candy isn't the fun part. The fun part is seeing it fly everywhere when you whack the shit out of the piñata. I don't think I'm gonna be too disappointed.
Alright, so you'll find stuff like that interesting all over the place. Interesting ways to try and start fights is, say, use your ability. You can get them started. Blow up parts that make cover seem less interesting. Try and find an angle. If you put enough pressure on someone, it'll force them to move. Because the AI is constantly trying to get a hold of an advantage that would put them ahead of you. Remembering to constantly check to see if the gear you're finding is better than the current gear you've got. What is that? Is that a rifle? Single shot rifle. Cool. some of the different types of schools. You've got assault rifles, then you've got standard rifles, which will be single shot, and then you have marksman rifles, which are generally bolt action and have a smaller mag clip, and SMGs, submachine guns. Very important to keep an eye on what you're going to be using. Items, they generally have abilities for brand sets, so you can switch to these here, and if you get enough of them together, they'll go in. Generally, in the leveling up phase, I would put precedence on upgrading to armor, your armor values, over trying to keep cool bonuses from your slots for, like, say, damage and stuff. Until you get to level 30, armor is your important goal. You can worry about min-maxing once you hit 30. Everywhere is dangerous. So people are constantly trying to start fights everywhere, threatening civilians. It's very easy to avoid fights if you don't want to be part of them. All you gotta do is not draw their attention and move in a direction that is not going directly across them. There are constantly areas where you are going to find people, though, so it's very hard to avoid a lot of the time. Like, say, this here. But if we manage to start this with our chem launcher, we can get 2 people with the ability. And you can force the advantage. Oh, we got extra people walking in. When you're starting fights, other enemies can come out of patrol. And you can see once again our mini-map has gone from being red to being back in the white, which means we are no longer in combat. Alright, so that is the general idea for world moving. Make sure you keep an eye out for loot. Make sure you keep an eye out for enemies. Use your cover to cover mechanics. The game is very forgiving on stealth with doing this. If you are cover to covering before initiating combat, the AI have a much less chance of noticing you. If you went from this point here to this point here and then came across, they are much more likely to notice you from over here than if you were to, say, go from cover to cover before initiating. Alright. What else is there? Yeah, so I hope that's giving you some decent world moving ideas. Just have fun with it. It feels a little awkward at first if you haven't played cover shooters before. But I feel that the way they've worked it is quite good. The only problem is a lot of the time is you'll find yourself stuck on surfaces you don't want to be stuck to. Because in the middle of a panic you might be pushing across. So if you tap away directly from an object, you will move away from it. If you move on a side of a piece of cover, it'll instinctively try to move you around it. Pushing forward on a cover does nothing. Pushing forward until you turn away from the cover exactly. So you can tap spacebar to in and out, the same as just pulling back away from it. Yeah. So you just gotta keep your eye out and try and have some fun with it. Alright guys, this has been Gothic Gaming, signing out. Please remember to like and subscribe.